Good evening, everybody. Let us stand, please, as we pray. Almighty and wise God, we thank you that you are still in control. Despite of what is taking place around us, Lord, we know, we have the confidence that you will lead us. Be with each one, Lord, as we come here, Lord, you know why we are here. May you take full control. Let everything go in order as you will like it to go. Bless each one that is coming from near and far. Help us to have an enjoyable time, we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Cornish Williams. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as we recognize the playing of the national anthem of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you. You may be seated. Welcome to the second in a series of conversations led by the Tobago Council of the People's National Movement. Just 4 years ago, we in Tobago would have entered into a period that we call the Great Deception. The Great Deception because many in Tobago bought into a dream, bought into a vision, but that dream, that vision never became a reality. During that 4 years period, the Tobago Council would have had the opportunity to sit back, observe, assess the council internally, assess the Tobago environment, and we have crafted a plan that we will take Tobago forward. The Tobago Council believes that Tobago deserves better. Many of you are here this evening because you believe that Tobago deserves better. And you have the opportunity to join us in a conversation as we explore the issues affecting Tobago and Tobagonians, and as we together craft meaningful solutions and a way forward. But before we proceed, permit me to recognize in our midst this evening the political leader of the Tobago Council of the People's National Movement, Mr. Ansel K. Dennis. I also want to recognize in our midst former Assemblyman, Mr. Gary Melville. I want to recognize, seated with us here this evening, some of our prospective candidates, some of those young, hard-working Tobagonians who are committed to joining all of us in Tobago who believe in the potential of Tobago to be great, for Tobago to live up to its fullest potential. I also want to recognize our chairman of the Tobago Council, Mr. Larry Paul. This evening, it's a conversation, and I have the honor and the privilege of leading that conversation with you. I am your humble servant still, Ayana Webster Roy. Permit me, brothers and sisters, permit me, fellow Tobagonians, permit me, friends, lovers of Tobago, to invite to the lectern our political leader, Mr. Ansel K. Dennis. And joining Mr. Dennis, we have a very youthful voice from within the People's National Movement, or your very own Delaford young lady, Roxborough, our guy's young lady, Miss Shanae John. And as we get ready to kick things off, today we would have seen a gathering in our very august Assembly legislature. Today we would have seen posturing, we would have seen theatre at its greatest. Today we would have seen the continuation of the deception of the Tobago people. Because if you could say to me, we don't need a bill to give Tobago more money, who are you trying to fool? If you could say to me that it's the first time in years, 10 years, that you've decided that Tobago was worthy of your presence, what are you trying to say to me as a Tobagonian? And if you could say to me as a Tobagonian that you're willing to sit in our very august Assembly legislature and have that very important and sacred space used for political campaigning, then it says that Tobago truly deserves better. I want to invite you, friends, supporters, well-wishers, concerned Tobagonians, to use this opportunity to highlight issues that are affecting you, to make recommendations on how we could take Tobago forward, because this time we are definitely putting Tobago first. I will now invite our political leader to give some opening statements, and then I will welcome, actually, I'll do it the other way around. I'll welcome our very own young, strong, competent, brilliant, beautiful, God-fearing, charismatic, hard-working Miss Shanae John to give few opening remarks. Welcome, Shanae.
Good night, everyone. So yes, good evening again, everyone. I want to follow in my fellow candidates' footsteps tonight and speak while I'm sitting, give my remarks while I'm sitting here in the couch. Because honestly, I understand why he wanted to sit in the couch, because it feels so comfortable. It makes me feel so at home by just sitting here in this couch looking at all the faces currently in the audience, faces that I grew up with, people that molded me and shaped me through this electoral district. It really feels as if I am home sitting on my couch having a chat with my friends and family. So please allow me to sit while I speak. I was born and raised in this electoral district of Roxborough, Argyle, a babe of Bay Road, Delaford, and Robert Street, Roxborough. Went to the Roxborough Early Childhood Center, then on to Roxborough Anglican School, otherwise known as we know it as the Bay School. I am the daughter of Silbert John and Davaren Toppin, and while growing up in this electoral district, I have noticed, I have sat back, I have listened to the men on the street, I have listened to the older heads, and I have learned a lot. Throughout my years while studying at the University of the West Indies, through my later years closer to now, persons have always encouraged me to, Shanae, you should go for office. Shanae, you should run for what used to be Roxborough Delaford before. But I always used to shy away from it because I'm like, me, little old me, But then I sat and I really thought about it. I thought about the representation that we had over the years. I thought about the opportunities that were missed. I thought about the young boys who I talked to, the young people who I talked to, letting me know that they are tired of being unemployed. I'm looking at the roads and I'm seeing too many potholes. I'm looking at our infrastructure and seeing them lacking maintenance, seeing them being neglected. And I've decided that I'm tired of just being silent on the back burner, just being frustrated. I want to be a part of that change. And this change can only come when representation is at the decision-making level. So I have decided to step up, young, brave, vibrant, to bring proper representation and service to the people of Roxborough, Argyle. It's not about politics to me. It's about service and serving the people that have molded me, shaped me, and guided me to who I am today. So now, because you have done that, because you have shaped me and made me who I am today, I am ready to serve you wholeheartedly, serve you with passion, be visible, be accountable, be accessible. So I am here as your prospective candidate for the People's National Movement, Shonny John, for Roxborough, Argyle, ready to serve.
I often like to say in reference to Miss Shonny John, little but she talawa. Proud of this young lady produced by Bay Road, Delaford, Robert Street, Roxborough. A young lady answering the call to serve, giving her commitment to focus on integrity, service to people, and wanting to ensure that she's part of the change that she wants to see. But more than that, I remember in a recent conversation, Shonny would have said to me that one of her mentors or political gurus, Mr. Hilton Wilkins Sandy. And if Shonny walks in Mr. Sandy's footsteps, then Roxborough, Argyle, all you're in good hands. Good hands. The conversation must continue, and we must hear from our political leader, his plans, his vision. We must hear from him solutions. We must hear from the next Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Mr. Ansel K. Dennis. Welcome him, please.
We got this.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Webster Roy, for that warm welcome. Good evening to Roxborough, Argyle, Delaford. Let me say that again. Good evening to Roxborough, Argyle, and Delaford. It is a pleasure to be in Tobago East, and I want to start by saying that I am tremendously proud and heartened at the fact that this electoral district of Roxborough, Argyle will be represented by the youngest candidate on the team. And Miss Shonny John reminds me a lot about my own journey, because I got into politics and representing people at the age of 25. It was sometime in the year 2012, leading up to the Tobago House of Assembly election. By the time the election came around, I was 26 years of age. And I must say that the People's National Movement provided a platform for a young person like myself to get involved in the development and to contribute to the development of this island that we all love. And I am happy that following my candidacy in 2013, we have a situation here again where at the age of 26, Shani John is part of our team being presented to you, the people of Roxborough, Argyle. And she's being presented in a very interesting context. And the context is that this electoral district, which used to be at one time Roxborough Delaford, had excellent representation in the person of a young man whom we all know as Hilton Working Sandy. But following his departure, this electoral district came out of the hands of the People's National Movement. And it is plain for all to see that the quality of representation and the kind of progress that we had over the years in this electoral district has been stymied. And that situation does not only apply to Roxborough, Argyle, but it applies to all of Tobago East. Now, there's a thing in Tobago where we tend to label the parties opposing to the PNM as Tobago East parties, in that they tend to get a lot of support from the people of Tobago East. And the TPP is no different. In fact, they started as the PDP, as we all know, and their first introduction to the Tobago House of Assembly was through winning 2 seats. And those 2 seats were in Tobago East. Palatovia, Lansom is Speyside, and Roxborough, Delaford at the point in time. And that, of course, was in 2017. And here we are today, where, of course, they moved away from the PDP, betrayed Watson Duke, called themselves independent for a few months, and then they formed a new party. But the unfortunate reality is that, notwithstanding the fact that the people in Tobago East overwhelmingly elected what some might consider to be a Tobago East party, Tobago East has been neglected. And I'll give you some examples. If you look at the state of the roads across Tobago East, in fact, if you take a drive from Scarborough and you go up to the north side, and you go all the way up to places like Castara, Bloody Bay, and go around that way, you will experience not only potholes, but roads that are so poorly maintained that you actually witness a narrowing of the road due to the growth of bush and grass on the side of the road. So in other words, you have less road to drive. And the same thing applies on the windward side. If you were to take a drive from Scarborough and you go all the way up to Charlottesville, the roads are in a deplorable state. And I think all of us, if we are truthful, must acknowledge that when Hilton Sandy was Secretary of Infrastructure, and when Gary Melville was Secretary of Infrastructure, and when Kwesi Devines was Secretary of Infrastructure, the road network, not only in Tobago East, but across Tobago, was in a far better state. We all have to acknowledge that. But apart from roads, let's look at major projects. In the year 2020, sometime between 2020 and 2021, the PNM administration at the time, and yours truly was the Chief Secretary, started no less than 3 or 4 major projects in Tobago East. In fact, 5, and I'm going to count them. These 5 projects were started, funding identified, designs established, in some cases contractor mobilized and started the work to improve the lives of the people of Tobago East. And you know, we have this thing in Tobago, especially in Tobago East, where we like to say, well, the PNM ain't done nothing for 25 or 21 years, they like to say. But let's look at the reality. And even before I get to those projects that the PNM started and this current administration abandoned and put aside for 4 years, this very community center that we're having this meeting in is an example of PNM development. The community center close by in Betsy Hope, the Betsy Hope Louisdor multipurpose facility, is another example of PNM development. The community center further up from here in Speyside, PNM development. The administrative complex, a very important project, because we felt that, look, people in Tobago East and on this part of the island shouldn't have to leave Charlottesville or leave Speyside and Roxborough and Delaford and those places to travel all the way down to Scarborough to pay a light bill or to pay a water bill or to pay taxes or to go to the Division of Tourism or the Office of the Chief Secretary. And that is how the Roxborough Administrative Complex came about. It was about bringing government services, public services, administrative services to this, what we like to call the rural part of Tobago. And that facility, as abandoned as it is now, because I'm told that most of the administrative services are no longer available to the people up on this side of the island. And our vision was always to bring those services closer to you, the people here in this part of Tobago. You also have the Roxborough Hospital. And I'm happy that Mrs. Webster Roy is here chairing this meeting, because it was her vision that no mother from Roxborough or Charlottesville or Speyside will make a child on the side of the road because they got into labor, and Scarborough Hospital or Signal Hill Hospital is 45 minutes to an hour away. And therefore we brought a hospital facility to Tobago East right here in Roxborough. And I can go on and on as it relates to PNM's contribution to this electoral district and Tobago East and Tobago by extension. But I was talking about the abandonment of Tobago East, which is very shocking to me, because you have a chief secretary from Speyside, you have a deputy chief secretary from Belgarden, you have their founder, the person that discovered them and presented them to you as decent people of integrity to lead them, Watson Duke, you still have him as your assemblyman for this district. And notwithstanding that, Tobago East has been severely neglected. I spoke about the roads. The Charlottesville Community Center and Pavilion, a project started by the PNM in 2021, I think it was, or 2020 it might have been. Tobago contractor, and I'm going to talk a bit about Tobago contractors versus Trinidad contractors tonight. A Tobago contractor was given the assignment to execute the project with clear instructions to hire people from within the area, Charlottesville, Speyside, Delaford, etc. And that project was started and well on the way to be completed by 2022. Guess what? By the stroke of a pen, that project was cancelled and is still there languishing up to this day. I was advised only 2 weeks ago that work restarted, which is expected because there is an election on the horizon. So watch them run helter-skelter, as we like to say, to try to start back all those projects. But when you come further down a bit from that community center, there is a dangerous bend we call Turpin Bend to get into Charlottesville. We engaged in a long process. It took us almost 2 years to do the necessary studies, the necessary engineering assessments, followed by the designs, to redesign that area to make it safer for the people venturing into Charlottesville. Public tender was done. Another Tobago contractor was awarded that contract. Election came, and guess what? Just like the Charlottesville Community Center, project was shelved and it is still there abandoned to this day. Let's go down to Goldsboro. We embarked on a process because at that point in time especially, we were hell-bent on getting Tobago's agriculture sector working. And for those of you who remember my little time as Chief Secretary, just like you're seeing white pants here tonight and white shoes, you should also remember those white boots. Going around community by community, farm by farm, in every village, Bloody Bay, Goldsboro, Goodwood, Charlottesville, Palatavere, the western side of Tobago, Plymouth, Blackrock. I believe I went to every farm in Tobago at the point in time. And we were told by the farmers that, look, we need to place more emphasis on this thing called agro-processing. As a result of that, right in Goldsboro, just at the corner of, that one is what, Cow Farm Road or Pig Farm Road? Cow Farm Road. Right on the corner of that road, we embarked on a project to build an agro-processing factory. We purchased the equipment from China at a cost of $4 million. $4 million of your tax money. Equipment procured. The equipment is still somewhere down in Shore Park. I'm not sure what condition it is in, but the equipment is here on the island. And the intention was to get that factory up and running by 2022. And it would have provided agro-processors the opportunity to process crops, vegetables, etc., and even meats. Project started, awarded to, guess who? A Tobago contractor. Same fate as the Charlottesville Community Center and Turpin Bend project shelved. So that's number 3. Number 4, right down the road, the Goodwood Pavilion. Again, we did the studies, we consulted with the community. The community insisted that, look, we need to have this pavilion to improve our sporting facility at that location. We agreed, we found the resources, we found the finances, we went through the designs, we went back to the community, we consulted again, the community said, yes, we like this design, and we went ahead. Awarded the contract to a Tobago contractor. That project was actually started and well on the way. I can recall some young men from the Goodwood community happily engaged on that project, working as laborers, as masons, etc., benefiting from Tobago people's money as we were moving towards executing that project on behalf of the people of Goodwood. Guess what? Again, by the stroke of a pen, project stalled, and it is still there today in the same position, overgrown with bush. And project number 5, guess where project number 5 is? Still in Tobago East. Bacolet, by the way, is part of Tobago East. And if you notice, as you drive on the highway, some steel beams overtaken by rust by now, right next to parade grounds. That is supposed to be the Bertil Sinclair Indoor Sporting Facility, a long overdue project. Same fate as the other 4, designed, tendered, awarded to, guess who? Say it, a Tobagonian contractor. By the stroke of a pen, project cancelled. And therefore, I have to come here to you this evening and boast. I am going to boast that it is clear to me, and it should be clear to all of you, that the PNM loves Tobago East more than any other political party. So our message is simple, because all that information that I just gave you points to one thing: neglect. And you can also call it abandonment. You may want to call it wickedness, but it simply means that over the last 4 years, you, the people of Tobago, moved from being first to being last. And that's the reality. So we are saying it's time to put Tobago first again. Tobago's resources must benefit the people of Tobago first and foremost. And I want to give the people of Tobago East the same commitment that I gave to the people of Bonaccord Crown Point last night, that when you re-elect the People's National Movement to the Tobago House of Assembly, and when you re-elect Ansel K. Dennis as your Chief Secretary, that within 6 months of the election, we will restart all 5 of those projects. And not only will we restart them, we will ensure that all 5 of them are given to contractors from Tobago. The final thing I want to talk about before I listen to you is autonomy, Tobago's autonomy. Because, how do I put this? Autonomy has been somewhat of a political football over many years. But it is an issue that has been treated with extreme seriousness by the People's National Movement. In fact, the records will show. And you see, the thing about facts is that it cannot be disputed. You don't have to like the PNM, you don't have to support the PNM to accept the facts. Because the facts and your love or hatred for any political party is totally unrelated. The facts don't depend on which political party you support. The facts are the facts. And the facts on the Parliament's record is that the PNM, in conjunction with the UNC and a couple independent voices in the form of independent senators, finalized a report. And together with that report, we had 2 draft bills that went to the Parliament on 2 occasions. A lot of you don't remember that the bills went to the Parliament on 2 occasions, 2 separate occasions. The first time it went, I was the Chief Secretary, and that was in, I think, June of 2021. Don't hold me to that date. Again, I'm a little old, so the memory ain't as it used to be. But I think it was June of 2021. And the current Chief Secretary, at the point in time, he was the Assemblyman for Palatavia Lansam Speyside, encouraged the UNC then to not support the bills. Then in 2024, December I think it was, the same bills came back. In fact, let me explain to you that one of the bills could be passed with a simple majority, and that is the one to create the Tobago Island government. But there is another bill designed to amend the Constitution that requires a special majority, which the PNM did not have. So that required UNC support. Because up to the PNM alone, if we could have done it, Tobago would have by now been getting 6.8% of the national budget minimum. And let me tell you as well, that because that bill was not passed, from then to now, you, the people of Tobago, you have lost $7 billion. Think about $7 billion. $7 billion could have built Scarborough Secondary School. It could have built the community center, all the 5 projects that I just discussed. $7 billion could rebuild all the roads in Tobago. $7 billion could have done a lot for the people of Tobago. We lost that money. That money was not made available to us because those bills were not passed. But you know what surprised me the most? Is the fact that the Chief Secretary, while he was Chief Secretary, still chose not to support the bills. Because during his 3 years or 4 years by now, the excuse has been, we don't have enough money. That's the excuse. I'm sure when the people of Charlottesville ask about the community center, the excuse will be they didn't have enough money. But of course, you see them on a plane ever so often, flying to Dubai, flying to England, flying to the United States. They have money, of course, for those things. So if you don't have money, or you're complaining that you don't have money, and here comes an opportunity for the people of Tobago to benefit from a minimum 6.8%, which works out to an additional $1.5 billion per year to conduct and manage the affairs of the people of Tobago, how then do you refuse that? And then, obviously because he thinks that it's a game, he then told us during the general election, don't support Chamfa and Ayana. Support David and Joel, and we will send them to the parliament to fight for autonomy. The same autonomy that he refused to support in 2024, elect David Thomas in the east and Joel Sampson in the west, and their sole assignment, in fact he told us they're not going to be interested in any cabinet position. Cabinet is for fine China. But they were supposed to go to the parliament to fight for Tobago's autonomy. Well, you all fell for it. So you elected David Thomas in the east, and you elected Joel Sampson in the west to go and fight for autonomy. Lo and behold, I was listening to the Prime Minister speaking in the legislature today, and we are being told, Tobagonians are being told, that you don't need a bill to get more money. In other words, don't expect any autonomy bill to come from this government anytime soon. So my question is, so what will Joel and David do for the next 5 years or 4 years and 6 months? And I want to say to Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, quite respectfully, that this autonomous struggle was never just about money. So don't feel that you could just promise us money on the basis where it's totally up to you and it's not enshrined in any law, because without the autonomy bill, we will have to depend on the whims and fancy of those in central government. But if the bill was passed, it would have been 6.8% minimum by law. So it's not just about money. So don't feel you could come now to the legislature and tell us, well, you don't need any bill, we're just going to give you more money. It was also about lawmaking powers. It was also about ensuring that you, the people of Tobago, that when you elect your assemblymen, that when you elect Shawnee John as the assemblyman for Roxborough, Argyle, and when you elect your assemblymen in the other electoral districts, that they could go to the Tobago House of Assembly like big boys and big girls and debate and pass laws for the good governance of the island of Tobago. Because let's examine it. This administration has been there for the last 4 years. What serious issue did they take to the assembly that impacted on your life as Tobagonians? Not one. Because they simply don't have the power to make any law. And I like to use the Marine Park as an example as I close. The Marine Park, which the Buko Reef is a part of, is a major attraction here in Tobago. If you go on Google right now and you Google Tobago, you will see the Buko Reef pop up under that search. But currently that area is being mismanaged. If you go on a boat tour right now to the Buko Reef, you're going to encounter a lot of unsafe practices. In fact, I don't even need to tell you. You saw what happened during the Carnival, one of our premier festivals. A boat was overloaded in the Marine Park and it sank. And as a Tobagonian, I felt embarrassed. I felt embarrassed because that news went international. Visitors or potential visitors from all over the world saw that. They saw that in Tobago, we aren't serious about the safety of people visiting one of our most major tourism attractions. They saw internationally that in Tobago, it is quite okay and quite possible to overload a reef boat, take it out into the sea, party on it, drink on it, smoke on it, have a good time, to the point where people almost died. We can't fix that issue in Tobago unless your Tobago House of Assembly has law-making powers. And the autonomy bills would have given your assemblymen in your Tobago House of Assembly the powers and responsibility to make laws and fix a lot of the problems that we have in Tobago at this point in time. So, I think I've said enough, and I will pause at this point in time.
Come on, we could do better than that. I want to thank our political leader for reminding us of all that would have been accomplished under the People's National Movement in the past. I want to remind us this evening that for 21 years, the PNM would have had the brains of the Tobago House of Assembly. But it wasn't 21 years straight. Every 4 years, the Tobago Council of the People's National Movement, the People's National Movement, every 4 years, had to go back to the people of Tobago and ask them to renew the mandate. Now, in coming back to the people of Tobago every 4 years, the PNM had to remind Tobagonians of all the things that would have been accomplished in that 4-year period. So at some point in time, the PNM would have reminded the people of Roxborough Argyle Electoral District of the community center built in Argyle. They would have reminded the people of Roxborough Argyle Electoral District of the Roxborough Administrative Complex built in Roxborough. In that 4-year period, at one point in time, the PNM would have also had to remind the people of Tobago of community shelters built in Speyside, in Bethesda, work done in Glamorgan, work done in Belgarden, work done in Buku, and over again, at least for 21 years, the people of Tobago gave the People's National Movement a renewed mandate. It's for those of us who work. Every so often you have to do your job, you have evaluation. And they call you in and you have to say why you deserve a promotion. And on more than one occasion, we were able to prove to the people of Tobago that the PNM was the best vehicle to take Tobago forward. Let's roll forward to 2021. And I want to specifically focus on Roxborough Argyle, because I am a Roxborough girl. And from 2021 to now, we have seen the decay and the decline of the electoral district of Roxborough Argyle. When those we elected absconded their party, they decided to punish their former political leader, and by punishing him, they punished the people of Roxborough, Argyle, Kendall, Lamy, Delaford. Every time I come through Roxborough and I look at that administrative building, what was once a white, pristine pride of the people of Tobago East is now becoming an eyesore. Now that I'm driving myself again, traversing the roads of this electoral district, I'm disheartened. The first time in a very, very long time, I've seen our roads in such terrible condition. And I'm encouraging all of us who are friends of Roxborough Argyle, who are lovers of Tobago East, when the time comes to choose Tobago, put Tobago first once again. Put Tobago first once again so that we could ensure that our contractors get the job, so that they could hire persons, so that we could put food back on the tables of our Tobagonian families. Choose Tobago once again, put Tobago first again, so that our Tobago businesses will thrive and our Tobagonian families and homes and children could thrive in this developing Tobago. Put Tobago first again and reject the mama guy of every time an election is coming, people come up from deep south and come to Tobago and mama guy us. Brothers and sisters, our time is coming when we could allow our fingers to speak very loudly. It's a conversation. And I want to encourage you to join us in this conversation. We have a microphone placed in the aisle. I'm asking when you stand up to speak to please introduce yourself by giving your name. You could say which area you're from, and let's have a discourse. You could ask questions, make recommendations, or if you just want to share something that is affecting you and you feel this is a safe space to do it, we welcome you to do it. So let's start the conversation going. I see my friend Colors, a lover of Tobago, has joined us.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Is that PNM mic? Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Ansel Dennis. Every election, you hear the people talk about autonomy. And we know that we cannot get autonomy unless the constitution change or one party and one party get at least 30 seats. The constitution have to change, and for the constitution to change, one party have to get at least 30 seats. We know that, but it's not that I really come to speak about. Every election, we hear about community center and road. Only community center and road. I want to hear things like we get a flyover to divert the traffic from Scarborough to Plymouth. That is the kind of thing I want to hear. I want to hear about indoor facility in the east and in the west. It's only cheap community center, 4 blocks that I could build. I want to see things like a zoo where children could, on Sundays, people could go and carry the children. You know, it's them kind of thing I fed up hearing about community center and road and all that kind of thing. And the next thing, the PNM was there for 4 terms. Remember that? PNM in Trinidad and PNM in Tobago. We didn't 4 terms, and now they're condemning a 3-term assembly.
3 years.
A 1-term assembly, right? It never a term yet, but they're condemning a 1-term assembly. And the PNM was therefore, no, you can't get through if the people around you just come and talk good thing and talk the thing all they want to hear. And all was therefore 4 terms with almost 60 or 70 billion. And I can't hear about, we can't get a zip line.
Colors, we ain't not close to 70 billion, but go ahead.
Well, approximately.
Not even approximately.
We can't even get smooth road. And I was there for so long. And then, how all you could convince me now, after being there for 4 terms, and this administration there for like 3 years, and so much a condemnation, and now the PNM wanted to put them back there after 4 terms, PNM in Trinidad and PNM in Tobago. Let that make sense.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question, callers. I'll invite political leader to respond.
So, firstly, let me say, right, that the PNM in 21 years did not get anywhere close to 60 or 70 billion dollars. So let's put that on the record. Right. So let's talk about 21 years. Now, I'm not going to repeat the fact that over 21 years, Tobago was transformed by the PNM. That's a fact. But the PNM never had a 21-year term. The PNM got elected in 2001 for the first time. And then in 2005, we had to write an examination because the people of Tobago had to correct the paper. Mm-hmm. And in 2005, they found that the sums were correct. So they say, okay, you pass the test. So we won the election again. From 2005 to 2009, that was another term. So again, we had to go back to the people of Tobago to give account, not from 2001, but for that period of 2005 to 2009. And the people of Tobago had the opportunity to weigh their options. And they said to the PNM, we like how you're going. Take another term. That was 2009. Then we came again in 2013, examination time again. And the people of Tobago said to us that you all are doing so well. Take 12 seats. Then we came again in 2017, fresh exam, not the same paper, different issues, coming up against the PDP this time. And I remember the same colours passed me in tongue, giving me fatigue during the election. He said, what? He said 16 years and same $60 billion. He come here tonight, same the 60 billion again. He says 16 years and $60 billion. How Dennis by? Well, you're telling people in Tobago now. So, we won that election 10-2. And then, by the time we got to 2021, the people of Tobago said, okay, you didn't pass the examination on this occasion. So, time for change. And we respect that. That's how democracy is. The people choose, the people get to decide. And they decided in 2021 that they didn't want any more of the PNM. In 2025, and I want to make this abundantly clear, the election in by now it will be in 2026, will not be about 2001 or 2005 or 2009 or 2013 or 2017 or even 2021. That election will be about the period 2021 to 2026, February or whenever is the election. And the people of Tobago must then determine whether or not these individuals in office now, by virtue of their performance, by virtue of their responses on the examination paper, whether or not they pass the test. And I have a feeling that they will fail miserably. So, yes, I know they're going to say, well, PNM get 21 years, so give us 21 years too. The PNM had 21 good years. And you can't come now after 4 bad years to say that you want the same 21 years. It doesn't work like that. If they wanted 21 years, then they should have started us with 4 good years. So, start with 4 good years and we're going to see what's going to happen after that. I deal with that already. Right? So, this election, and Tobagonians must be clear that this election is about judging the performance of the current assembly over the last 4 years. And if you want to give them a pass mark for abandoning 5 major projects in Tobago East for 4 years, that's on you. If you want to give them a pass mark for selling out our entire development budget, sidelining the Tobagonian contractors, sidelining the Tobagonians who were employed by them, sidelining the smaller businesses that got business from those Tobago contractors. If you want to give them a pass mark for that, that's on you. If you want to give them a pass mark for paying our service providers, especially in the creative sector, record late periods. Just imagine Heritage in the last year have not been paid this year. Carnival was in October. Don't be surprised if, God forbid, and they are still in office, another Carnival will meet and those bills will not be paid. And if you want to give them a pass mark for that situation, then that's totally up to you as Tobagonians. Yeah?
Thank you, Mr. Political Leader, for
Say
reminding
that
us.
again. (20) 2017 to 2021. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Political Leader, for reminding us and cautioning us that one bad term does not deserve another one, right? We continue to take questions. We continue to invite you, the friends of Roxborough Argyle and the lovers of Tobago, to come forward with your recommendations, your comments, your observations. This is a conversation led by the Tobago Council of the People's National Movement.
But I wanted to, before you go, I wanted to respond to one more thing he said about wanting to see flyovers and all those sort of things. Now, all I will say is that the People's National Movement in this election will be coming with a bold new vision for Tobago. You see, the development of Tobago and the development of anywhere is about a journey. So when we inherited Tobago, it hardly had community centers. When we inherited Tobago, it hardly had lighted playing fields. When we inherited Tobago, all the major projects in Tobago were being done by contractors from Trinidad. We came, we changed the situation. Tobago now has the reality of having more community centers, more sporting facilities, more hospitals, more public facilities per head of population than anywhere else in this region, thanks to the PNM. So I could quite understand if callers tell me, well, he fed up hearing about community centers, because we built a lot, right? But development is a journey, and I could tell you that going forward, our focus, the People's National Movement's focus, in terms of Tobago's development, will be mainly on the tourism and agriculture sector. As it relates to tourism, there is a need for more rooms on the island, and I don't like to talk about spilled milk, but Tobago missing out on that Sandals Resort project was one of the worst things that could have possibly happened to our tourism sector. And I saw a flyer recently where St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the destination that got our hotel, the hotel that we were supposed to get, they got it. They are currently in the process of building out 4 additional major resorts on that island. And that is because investment follows investment. So had we gotten that Sandals, there would have been more interest in the destination from other investors. Some people may argue that we don't need Sandals. Go tell the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines that they didn't need Sandals. Because since they got it, the number of flights from carriers such as JetBlue, American Airlines, Virgin Atlantic, British Airways increased exponentially. And that automatically means that the number of tourists coming to that destination increased exponentially. And if the number of tourists coming to your destination increase exponentially, then you have to feed those people. To feed them, it requires thousands of eggs, thousands of lettuce, thousands of tomatoes, thousands of pounds of fish. Who you think going to have the first opportunity to produce that in Tobago? It will be Tobago farmers. Of course, if you fail to produce it, then they will have to import it from somewhere, and most likely Trinidad. Right? Taxi operators, tour operators, the various businesses, the bars, the restaurants, the shops, the groceries, the creatives, the dancers, the musicians, etc. All of those persons, their lives in Tobago could have been improved significantly by the presence of that resort in Tobago. So we will be ensuring that we pursue investment, that we pursue in the kind of infrastructural development that will attract people to the island. And I don't want to say too much at this point in time, but we definitely need a new cruise ship terminal, right? That's one of the things that we need. And I wouldn't say more at this point in time, but we will be coming very soon at the appropriate time with a bold new vision for Tobago. And I want to say to the farmers, without giving away a lot, that opportunities, major opportunities, will be coming your way. The farmers in Tobago and also the fishermen. Because in Tobago, we must produce, we must feed ourselves. And I don't like to boast, but if it's one person who occupied public office in Tobago who was serious about the agriculture sector, it has to be yours truly, Ansel Dennis.
Thank you, political leader, for exciting us about this bold new vision that is being crafted for the people of Tobago. I'm sure the farmers of Louis D'Or and Lamy, and indeed those even in Collam, will be excited for the opportunities to come. I'm also happy to note that in this bold new vision, it's not just physical infrastructure, but there's concerted effort to place focus and emphasis on human capital development. And I'm sure the young people in the audience this evening would appreciate that, the opportunities that would emerge for employment, for investment, etc. I want to put my friend, or little Talawa, brave, bold, Ms. John, on the spot. The political leader spoke of his bold vision. What are some of the plans, the vision, what are some of your vision for Roxborough-Argyle electoral district, some of your plans? How do you envisage working with your constituents? I'm speaking it into being, right?
Well, firstly, as a youth myself, as our political leader said, I'm 26 years, so I'm still considered a youth in this space. So youth opportunities and youth employment is something that takes top priority for me as the prospective candidate, hoping to be your next area representative. For quite some time, even before I decided to embark on this journey, young persons, including myself, have been in this electoral district in Tobago, I might add, has been struggling with opportunities and employment. Some of us, we went off, we got to study, and came back thinking that we will contribute to our island beneficially, not wanting to go on to other countries to give back to what our country puts into us. So that's one thing I want to pay particular attention to. Firstly, let me start with the opportunities. There are too many talented young men and women in this electoral district where their talents are currently going to waste. For example, there are many talented footballers in this electoral district. I am a great supporter of the Roxborough Lakers Football Club currently. Their home ground is the Sid Gray Complex. Currently, the TFA competition is currently taking place. The Tobago Football Association competition is taking place. And the Sid Gray Complex lights are not up to par. Some of them are currently missing, and this has been happening for quite some time. There is no ability to have double-header games currently there at the moment. The players there struggle to see when they are training. So these kind of things are inhibiting our young people from gaining true opportunities as youths. In addition to youth opportunities, I want to speak specifically to youth employment. I myself, this is something that is dear to my heart. As someone who has studied and came back to try to give back to my community, to my island. And this is the cry of many young persons in Tobago and in this electoral district. Some persons who may have been even struggling for longer than I have. Some persons, they may have the necessary, they may want to learn more of the necessary skills, the necessary trade to gain gainful employment, but are not able to gain opportunities and employment. There is one thing an initiative that I would like to embark on if given the opportunity, of a mentorship program where young men and women can learn alongside our skilled tradesmen and tradeswomen within the electoral district. Within this district, we have exceptional tradesmen and tradeswomen who I believe will be willing to take some of these men and young women under their wings, to help them to craft their trade and to be able to have some sort of employment for themselves. Because within this Tobago House of Assembly, we have been trying, because of trying to employ as much persons as we can within this Tobago space. But at this current moment, we can be honest with ourselves that the Tobago House of Assembly have employed more persons than we should at the moment. So I think that making that extra step, making that extra push to the young men and the young women for them to gain these employments, for these opportunities, for them to see that as me as a representative, I look out for them. I see their potential, and I know that there is more than just sitting on the block. There are opportunities that they can embark on, and I want to ensure, as someone who is hoping to be of your service, to ensure that these opportunities are given to these young people. So that's something that's close to my heart, youth employment and youth opportunities.
Thank you.
I'm happy for that, Mr. Collins. I'm really happy for that.
I thought Colors was coming to the microphone again. So we continue to invite questions, comments, recommendations. Ms. John, I want to echo your sentiments in terms of opportunities for young people, and I know with your passion, your drive, as well as your foresight, that you would be a voice for the youth, not only in Roxborough Argyle, but for the youth of Tobago, and I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so we're inviting anybody else who would be Yes, come, you could come to the microphone right there. When you come, don't forget to introduce yourself, your name, and you could also say where you're coming from, which village.
Ayan.
Good night.
Good evening.
My name is Kenrick McPherson, ex-prison chief, Tobago Prison Service. First of all, I must at least welcome Mr. Dennis, Ms. Roy, and now I see my neighbor, who I believe is the chosen representative for this area. Argyle, Roxburgh, Delaford, that's the constituency. I want to first of all say that when I got the invitation to come to this discussion here this evening, at first I thought it was a meet the police situation to discuss the present crime situation and what the villagers have in mind to do for the betterment of Trinidad and Tobago. I was personally invited by another neighbor, and then tonight my good friend Mr. John called my resident and personally invite me again on behalf of his daughter, the representative, to be here tonight. And hear what he said. Mr. McPherson, you know you is one of the older head in Delaford, and your vision is always one that is being respected by people based on your knowledge of Tobago and especially this community of Delaford. As you can see, I am weary, worn, tired, cold, hoping I can be with my wife at this cold night tonight. But because of the invitation, I could not have turned it down. So when I came in and I saw the banner, Tobago deserves better community conversation. Tobago first again, vote PNM. I kind of feel scared. The reason why I felt scared is because I, Kenrick McPherson, is not no member of any particular party. I consider myself a nationalist. Listen again. I consider myself a nationalist. By so meaning, I'm a national of Trinidad and Tobago. And as a person, I do not want to be affiliated personally to no particular party, but to the country or the island of Trinidad and Tobago. All my interest and duty is to seek betterment for this country. And I do not want it was to tie up by no bureaucracy or fanatism of any party to express my franchise. So when I came, and you see me sitting in the corner there, at least you see I had no particular color, I kind of feel apprehensive that if the other party see me here in this network or this congregation, how will they feel if I took an opportunity again to stand on their pulpit to say something? They might feel I'm a PNM. No, I am not a PNM. As I said, I'm a nationalist. Right. I know time is limited and I myself is trying to hasten to get back to my wife. If so be it that my neighbor is finally chosen as the representative for Argyle, Roxborough, Delaford in the upcoming election, and I'm being invited here, that means to say the battle drums have started to roll for the next coming THA election. Is that so? Is that so, Mr. Dennis?
Of course.
As the battleground or the battle drums are signaling, we are ready to go to the polls again to choose a new assembly.
Yes, a new assembly. I like how you say that.
How privileged I am to be here in the first meeting that set out that road towards this new assembly. Ms. John, are you finally chosen our representative for this area? After the screening, I believe that was taking place over the past 2 weeks of all the parties.
Yes,
Are you finally chosen the representative?
Yes, I'm the prospective candidate for this area.
Congratulations. Your father came to my residence not so long ago. And he told me, Taka, which is my short name and alias in the community, like a house on fire, I want your support, boy. My daughter is going up to represent us. You know me already, you know what I stand for. And I want your support and your family's support as a village, hoping that she can be successful as our candidate this time around. It took about 2 minutes before I respond, because there we go again, being a nationalist, I don't want to get caught up. You know, party politics. So after revising my cranium and thing, I come up with an idea and I told him, boy, well, as a villager, if that is so, and knowing how me and you go down and what you did for me and I do for you, boy, you're in a sticky position. Because I don't like when election day come, I choose the person who I believe will best serve me in my community and Tobago as a whole. But what I do? I didn't tell him yesterday. But I told him I go see what I could do if she finally get the representation to do it. So in that sense, I am happy to be here tonight in at least giving you my congratulations of, first of all, getting that post. Historically, in this village of Delaford, which has been one of the most contentious villages in political history in Trinidad and Tobago, here we go once again. This particular area has given us a prime minister, and more so doing, this village of Delaford helped that person to become prime minister with its vote, which was crucial at that time for him to win the Tobago East seat. I'm speaking of the deceased A.N.R. Robinson. But at least he wasn't a born Delafordian. During the years that a representative has been representative of this village here, Delaford. But historically, as my old brain can tell me, there have never been a born Delafordian who have been the representative of the area coming from Delaford. Mr. Dennis, can you tax your brain a little with me to see if that has ever happened? A born Delafordian, anybody in the audience, that a born Delafordian has represented the constituency here or the area here in the assembly election?
Can't recall where Gary was from. Where Gary was from? Gary was a candidate.
Mr. Belleville, I think after Mr. Sandy, I don't think he was selected as a representative.
He wasn't elected.
Was he selected?
No, he wasn't elected, but he was a candidate for us at one point.
Yeah.
So that brings us back to my dear neighbor. I want history to be written this time around that a female has been the first representative born in Delaford to win this area. That is what brought me here tonight.
Yes, sir.
And I will give my support to see that happen.
Thank you.
Good. Recently in my age, I find myself being a pastor, a wise man, one of the people who you can come to for history of this area, Delaford, who might have known my old man at the time before his death. He was the one who a lot of people came to for a lot of history of this community of Delaford. He has died and passed on, and it seems like I am slowly becoming his replacement. Many function I'm given the task of MC, or say a few words on the pulpit, say something on behalf of this because of my knowledge, most time, of the person who have died. I don't want to give my age, because you might believe I'm so young. But it's because of the fact I'm a born and grown Delafordian who have traveled throughout life history to all various parts of Trinidad and Tobago, taking on assignment of doing good for this country and my area and my little Tobago. God has took me in all aspects and aside of life on a journey maybe I now get to realize was to gain all that knowledge to come back to at least serve my people in the capacity of knowing the history of this little place. By so doing, it took me now to the 30th of September 1963, when Tobago was devastated by Hurricane Flora, and nearly 99% of the agricultural produce of Tobago were destroyed, and by so doing, that hurricane rendered Tobago helpless. Anybody here alive when that happened, the hurricane passed? Can we all remember the devastating force and fury of God's wrath? based on that, we can imagine how the people of the, Jamaica felt as one of the most vicious hurricanes of the century hit them. I was witness to Florida. I was 12 years old, sitting on a neighbor gallery when the fury and force of God hit this country with such furious that it destroyed almost everything that was done. And with so doing, it destroyed the basket of Trinidad and Tobago. At that time, I used to pick pigeon peas for my little pittance in my pocket, when pigeon peas was one of the great and sustainable peas in Tobago. That alone was destroyed too. And for 60 years, I have waited and listened. Various politicians, change of governments, appointees to various departments and areas. And I have been waiting 60 years to see if any one of them could come up with a comprehensive plan to replace Tobago and to put it back as the food basket of the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you so very much for that proposition to our political leader. Before I allow our political leader to respond.
Mr. Dennis, that is what I want to hear. As I wait on God to take me home. 60 years I've been waiting to hear somebody come up with a comprehensive plan to repair Tobago from the devastation of flora is 1963. No. As my young neighbor is here to represent us this time, I want to see this. I, within myself over the years, have various plans in my head of what can happen. Because Dr. Williams did not go back and do something about the destruction. He diversified his policies on education. Remember the famous quotation he made? Education will be the food basket. And ever since then, those abundant land is still there. Up in Fox, as we call them in Delaford Woods, other various areas in Tobago, waiting to go back to. How will we go back to them? Because I heard Sanders is coming to Tobago and was coming to Tobago, and the first thing I heard about it was food to feed the hotel. Food what Tobago normally does produce. And to sustain the hotel, you need food. And I was thinking if Tobago at the time could sustain Sanders with local food. No, we can't. No. Because we are not
So, we want to give the political leader the opportunity to respond.
I just want you, I don't want no cross talk outside. I just put in it in. Mr. Dennis, this is my plan. I came. Presently we are faced with social programs. Naming since Dr. William time a dude, special works, now you are CPEP. Now you don't expect the government most time to be the only employer. But these small programs, Mr. Dennis, I was thinking, if every village is identified and we have a conservative plan, let us say, all right, we're going to go back to the land. Delaford will produce yam. Roxborough will produce plantain. Argyle will produce cassava. Another village will produce another crop. And the great north side will produce dasheen. And in between various villages will produce vegetable crops. Corn, cassava. And we identify every village with a crop to produce. And we take them same secret people, young people that we have working 3 and 2 hours, and send them there to be productive in this land with the modern technology and equipment we have. Can it be done? My young neighbor, I'm giving you that mandate. I'm giving you that mandate if you have been selected. To try your best and see how much you can influence those around you to make that reality a success before I die.
Thank you, Mr. McPherson. I will allow the political leader the opportunity to respond to the queries raised in terms of agriculture and disaster preparedness and management.
So, I must say I appreciate and understand the passion.
Yes.
The passion. That what you saw there is passion. Because it's quite correct from that devastation of Tobago to now, our agriculture sector has not truly recovered. And I remember when I attended the commissioning of one of the 2 new fast ferries while I was Chief Secretary, I said to the audience and the people of Tobago at that point in time that when the ferry travels between Trinidad and Tobago, we have a situation where it goes down empty and comes back to Tobago full of food. And at that time I promised the people of Tobago that I will do all in my power with the little time that I had left as Chief Secretary to reverse that situation, because the ferries, as new as they were and as exciting as they were to provide transportation opportunities between Trinidad and Tobago, Tobagonians must place ourselves in a position to benefit the most from that. And I want to give the same commitment that I gave back then. Return the PNM to office. Return me as your Chief Secretary. And I will ensure that within the first term of office, we will reverse that trend. And more food will leave Tobago than food that comes from Trinidad to Tobago.
In terms of preparedness for disasters and management, any political leader, your thoughts on that as you would have raised it?
Yeah, well, in terms of resilience, that is something we of course must pay attention to, and it is going to be an integral part of our bold new vision for the island of Tobago. The pandemic taught us a very valuable lesson because nobody expected it, and for an entire year or more, businesses had to be closed. The tourism sector was totally shut down. Hotels closed, planes weren't flying, the borders were closed. And I am sure you recall that period where workers from the tourism sector had to be home, and had it not been for the government who provided grants to give these people relief and to give them an income, and at the same time was able to maintain a situation where no public servant was sent home nor paid late, right? A lot of people would have struggled. And therefore it tells us that as an island, we have to be prepared for any eventuality. Whether it be pandemic, whether it be hurricane, we must ensure that we put things in place to ensure the quick recovery. And we refer to it as resilience, which means your ability to recover from shocks, whether it be economic shocks, whether it be devastation from natural disasters, and as we learned recently, pandemics, right? So I want to give you the assurance that as we plan and develop this bold new vision, that we will be paying a lot of attention to Tobago's resilience as a small island in the Caribbean.
Thank you, political leader. Just for those viewing online, and for those of you gathered here, just a reminder, these conversations aren't a PNM conversation or just for PNM people. These conversations are for the people of Tobago. These conversations are for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, especially those persons who hold Tobago near and dear to their hearts. So we want to encourage everyone, regardless of your color, to come and join our conversations as we work towards creating a bold new vision for Tobago, as we work towards ensuring we put Tobago first again. Do we have any more questions, any more comments? Good evening.
My name is Cornish Williams.
Mr. Williams, yeah.
Yes. All right. I'm a born PNM. I don't know if I will die a PNM, but I decide to remain a PNM all the days of my life. And something happened yesterday that worried me, even up to now. Is a kind of a welcome our Prime Minister received. It bothered me because I know Dr. Keith Rowley never will be welcome in his own country. And if a man cannot be welcome in his own country, something wrong. But what I want to say, I want to speak to especially to the candidates. I want to quote some scripture. First, I think it's Joshua 10, where the enemies came up against the children of Israel, and Joshua couldn't manage. But Joshua saw a gentleman who was a stranger in front of him. He had a conversation with the stranger. He said, "Are you on my side or against me?" The reply that the stranger made was, "As captain of the host." So it was an angel that came to lead the children of Israel to victory. Please do not believe you candidates could make it for yourself. Let God be the leader. Don't believe that you are too small and you cannot make it. Use David's experience. David, brothers tried to turn him away from fighting the giant, but he knew that with God all things are possible. Go forth, God will give you the victory.
That's right. Thank you, Mr. Williams, for reminding us that in all things we must lean not on our own strength and our own understanding, but on Almighty God. As we wind up, I would like to invite our prospective candidate, Ms. Shani John, to just give her closing pitch. Tell Tobago, tell Roxborough Argyle why you are the best woman for the job.
Firstly, I want to comment on what I call him Mr. Tucker, my neighbor. He mentioned that Delaford probably hasn't had an elected representative before. And I want to be that person for you all here in Delaford and by extension, Roxborough Argyle. I want to be that first, and I want to make you all proud. You all molded me, and I am ready to give back to you. I want to see the young boys out at the Playway booth gainful employment. I want to see the Kings Bay waterfall flourish so beautifully. I want to see the playground in Louisdor that they are so asking for to be renovated with lights and bathrooms. I want to see in Roxborough, I want to see the administrative complex refurbished and used to the benefits of the people of not just Roxborough, but the people of Tobago East. I want to see in Argyle the young boys being able to play on the football field right outside the community center with care, with lights, with proper fencing. I want to see the aquatic pool in Kendall open to the public once more. I want to see, let me go back to Roxborough, I want to see the wonderful world-renowned Argyle waterfall beneficial to the people of Roxborough and environs, bringing gainful employment and exposure to the people of Tobago East. I want to be of service to you. I haven't started now giving community service. I haven't just started. I have foundation within my family and within my religious background of community service and community outreach. I haven't just started. I just want to continue and continue in a way where I can be able to be on that decision-making process to ensure that the lives of the people of Roxborough Argyle are great, to see them flourishing, to see them advancing, and to see the opportunities being given to the people, whether old or young, in Roxborough Argyle. I am ready to serve. I will be visible. I will be accountable. I will be accessible to anyone in this electoral district. I am ready to give back to you. I am ready to join you once more, to give my whole self to you as your prospective candidate and as your future heir representative of Roxborough Argyle.
Thank you, Shanae, for reminding us that service isn't something new to you, that you have been serving your community not only through religious activities, but through sporting activities, through lending back to young people, through tutoring, through lending to persons who like fashion as a personal shopper. I want to thank you for extending yourself and offering yourself to serve at another level. We all know how important it is for youth voice and for women's voices to be heard around the decision-making table. So we wish you all the best, and I'm telling you all today, join John because you're sure with Shanae, right? And I invite our political leader, tell Roxborough Argyle why we should give you the opportunity to be your Chief Secretary once again.
Well, firstly, let me thank all of you for coming out to this evening's meeting. It was, in fact, a productive conversation, and I think you should give yourselves a round of applause. I also want to congratulate future Assemblyman Tony John for the manner in which she acquitted herself before you this evening. I think she made a strong case for herself, and I'm sure that as the campaign continues, that she will continue to make that strong case for herself and for the People's National Movement as she goes through the streets, the roads, every single corner in this electoral district of Roxborough Argyle, soliciting your support to put Tobago first again. I am Ansel Dennis, political leader of the People's National Movement in Tobago, and I've been a servant of the people all my life, from youth groups, growing up in the church, being in charge of youth ministry in a number of churches, mentoring young people. I was also a musician. Perhaps I'm still a musician, although I'm not actively playing at this point in time. Played for a number of bands in Tobago, sportsman, a cricketer, national cricketer at that. And at the age of 25, I ventured into politics. I spent 9 years serving the people of the electoral district of Buko, Mount Pleasant, raised in the PNM, mentored in the PNM, guided in the PNM by the likes of Orville London, Stanford Calendar, and others. And I was given the opportunity to serve as the youngest chief secretary in the history of Tobago at the age of 33. That stint was 19 months and a few days. And you saw me leading this island in one of its most difficult periods. It was a pandemic. We were under daily threat from a COVID-19 virus that ravaged our tourism sector, that ravaged our Tobago economy, and that took a number of lives and compromised our safety. And therefore it was one of the most difficult periods to lead any island or country. But if it's one thing the PNM guarantees, whether at the national level or at the Tobago level, is stable, sober, and effective people-centered leadership in a pandemic, out of a pandemic, good times or difficult times. And you saw this young chief secretary back then confronting a number of issues faced by this island. You saw me visiting the farmers, talking to them, and it wasn't just about talk, because we took action as a Tobago House of Assembly to improve the agriculture sector. The farmers said to us, look, the main issue that we have is access to land and access to more resources to produce more. We embarked immediately to pursue a farmland development program where we identified 5 estates: Goldsboro, Richmond Estate, Indian Walk in Moriah, Friendship Estate in Canaan, and the one closest to us here in Delaford, Lamy Road in Argyle. And we embarked upon a plan called the Farmland Development Program to develop over 500 acres of land across Tobago and place those lands into the hands of farmers. And I remember going to Argyle, and we gave a number of young men, some of them under the age of 30 at the time, raising up their hands, standing up saying to us in the THA, give us land, give us the opportunity. We want to help Tobago feed itself and feed the country and feed the region by extension. Unfortunately, those projects stopped. I am not sure what is happening with the one in Lamy Road. I was told work started at one point in time, then it stopped. But 4 years have passed, and those farmers still don't have access to those lands to produce. I am saying, I am committed as your Chief Secretary to improving Tobago's agriculture sector immediately upon being elected. I'm committed to restarting all those farmland development programs to develop the lands, put in the roads, put in the water, put in the electricity and whatever infrastructure is needed. I'm also committed to giving those farmers the necessary funding, because as part of that program, and a Tobago farmer, one who I respect and admire, is at this meeting. I'm not sure if he wants me to call his name, so I will not. Because we live in a time where people get victimized for showing up to locations such as these, political meetings and so on. So I won't call his name, but we were committed to giving the land, giving the resources, giving the funding to these young farmers to expand their operations. And I'm saying that I am committed, the next PNM administration is committed to making that happen immediately upon election. We are going to restart the farmland development program. We are going to ensure that we place lands into the hands of our young people, our older people, so that they can produce and feed Tobago and feed Trinidad and Tobago and feed the region by extension. Right? And the final thing I will say is that you saw the commitment as well from the then PNM administration to improve our tourism sector, because we partnered with the central government. You got your airport, although it's still not open. And one of the speakers before mentioned the fact that they believe that former Prime Minister Dr. Rowley wasn't necessarily celebrated as much as he would have liked. But one thing I recognized is that he wasn't really about the lights and the camera. He was about action. He was about working for the people of Tobago. And therefore, we were hell-bent on improving Tobago's tourism sector. So we delivered the airport. We delivered 2 fast ferries. We were in the process of delivering the Sandals Resort. You know what transpired with that. We are still hoping to accomplish the Marriott Hotel, which is still going through the approval phases. We had on the agenda as well a marina for Tobago somewhere in Cove. And therefore, we were about bringing together a suite of infrastructural projects that would have put Tobago in a position to be significantly more competitive in the tourism sector. And I'm saying that once the PNM is re-elected to the Tobago House of Assembly, we will continue that work. So ask yourself, the farmers especially, ask yourself, when last you saw the Secretary of Agriculture or the Chief Secretary himself paying interest and showing interest in what you are doing on your farms, struggling to produce with insufficient resources? Ask yourself that question. And I want to say to you as well that don't be surprised if you see them soon, because election is coming. But ensure that in the next election, you separate talk from action, and you separate games from real policy making. and you separate the TPP from the People's National Movement, and understand that the only choice to put Tobago first again is with the People's National Movement at the helm of the Tobago House of Assembly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dennis, for reminding us how important it is for all of us to put Tobago first again, and for sharing some of your plans as we craft a bold new vision for Tobago. I am particularly excited for the works intended in the agriculture sector as well as the tourism sector. I might not look it, but I like to plant now and again. And we all know how important it is for us to develop the ability to feed ourselves. You have been a wonderful audience. I want to commend those of you who came out in support of Tobago, in support of our candidate, prospective candidate, Ms. Shawnee John, and those of you who came out in support of the People's National Movement as we take this conversation throughout Tobago. The conversations will continue on Thursday in Bethel. We are inviting you to join us. Come out in your numbers, share your concerns, make recommendations, and let us work together to put Tobago first again. Tobago deserves better. Tobago deserves the loving hands of the People's National Movement once again. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. Good evening.